Hey everyone, today I'm going to be doing a different style of video where I compare two guns and tell you which one is better and why. The guns I'm going to cover today are the AK74N and the M4A1, and right now I believe the AK74N is a better option. Starting off, I'm going to cover the similarities between the two. The AK74N and the M4A1 are both assault rifles and pretty much the flagship rifle of each distinct caliber, 545-39 and 556x45. Both cost a similar price when bringing them down to a solid recoil and ergonomic base, and their ammo types are at about the same price too, with a couple exceptions, and I'll cover these in a moment. Both rifles are very modifiable and probably the two guns currently in Tarkov with the most components and mods to put onto them, with the M4A1 and other AR-15 platform rifles having a few more mods than the AK-74s. In terms of PvP, both rifles are very capable, but as of right now, the AK-74N pulls ahead. When discussing the differences, we start to see a gap between the two weapons. First off, the M4A1 has an RPM of 800, whereas the AK-74N only has an RPM of 650, which means the 74N is generally easier to control. On top of that, the AK-74N has access to two high-end AP rounds and two mid-tier AP rounds, while the M4A1 has one high-end AP round and two mid-game AP rounds, with the high-end rounds costing much more than either of the 545 high-end rounds besides BS. On top of this, the 545 rounds are generally more common, as to unlock the M4A1 rounds you need to complete many Peacekeeper quests, whereas 545 is quite common on maps such as Reserve, Customs, and Shoreline, and is relatively quick to unlock through Prapor. Beyond this, 556 ammo generally has lower stats than that of 545, however, because it has 150 more RPM than the 74N, your time to kill when comparing, say, 556 855A1 to 545BT, they generally function similarly in situations, but it means you will generally use more ammo with the M4A1. And it's worth noting too that 855A1 is generally a lot cheaper than 545BT as well. The other main difference is the cost for parts. In general, M4A1 parts generally cost more than AK-74N parts in the early game because the 74N is considered a lower tier weapon, and when comparing mid-tier or mid-game parts they even out, and then when you compare high-end parts again, the M4A1 will generally hit a much higher price point, but it will almost always end up with a much higher recoil stat and ergo stat. At this point, both guns seem to have some negatives and positives to them, but I believe that the AK-74M, in the current state of Tarkov, outperforms the M4A1. The reason for this is the ammo. As mentioned before, the AR-15s only have one high-end ammo type, M995, and it costs a fortune to purchase and is locked behind many quests. Purchasing this ammo from Fleet will be about 1400 rubles per round, and about 10 USD per bullet from Peacekeeper, whereas a Golnik, the highest tier of 545, will set you back only about 1100 to 1300, and is actually better stat-wise than M995. 855A1 is the second best and is quite a drop from M995 stat-wise, only being really comparable to 545 BT and BP. The only benefit here is that BT is a bit more expensive, however, it still has a better penetration stat and performs better in most situations. On top of this, 545 also has BS ammo, which has slightly less penetration than a Golnik but higher flash damage, and generally goes for the same as M995 but still performs better than it. In general, the AK-74N is a much better choice because of the ammo reasons mentioned above, and because the meta AK-74N is much cheaper than a meta M4A1. Overall, when deciding to pick between the two rifles, until M995 has a price reduction, the AK-74N will be a better performer because of the lower price and more powerful ammo selection. Thank you for watching. As mentioned in the last video, I'm going to be doing some experimentation, and this is one of those videos. I'm going to be working a bit more on the mid-game AR video, and I also have another comparison video planned for the RPK and HK416 with some of the same comparisons to be drawn much like in this video. However, there are some differences that might make the HK416 a better choice. So be sure to check that video out when it's live. I also stream Tuesdays and Sundays at 4 PM Pacific Standard Time, so you can check out my Twitch using the link below. I also have set up a Patreon page as well, so if you'd like to support the channel, on a monthly basis. Be sure to check that out and join the Discord to stay up to date with my future projects or just chat. Remember to subscribe and leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one.